All right, all right, all right.
I thought you were going to start. See, that's why I was doing this. I was trying to help you with your intro, but no.
I appreciate that. I need help. Hey, welcome back. We are doing Matthew 21. No, Matthew 10. Matthew 10, 21 through 33. It's not popular to be a Christian, apparently. You're not going to do well. People hate you, but
It's going to get worse.
I'm out.
have no fear, he says. Things about sparrows and hair and all that good stuff. Great text, especially in the midst of big fears. So we'll get after it.
Spit on my Lord in every way, yet I'm still welcome in the arms of the King.
All right, so Matthew chapter 10, beginning at verse 21 through verse 33. Jesus, you kind of pick up in the middle. Well, not kind of. You do pick up in the middle of a paragraph, but it's kind of shocking, and things are not going to go well for disciples.
If you didn't do the full reading and you're going to preach on this kind of totally, I would almost bring in verse 16. I think it's important for the
Verse
context
16.
of, behold, I'm sending you out as sheep amidst
Okay,
wolves.
that is good.
Right?
That's good.
So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves.
Right. And so the call here are the shocking thing that it starts with has to do with intimate relations within a family. Brother delivers brother over to death, and father, child, and children, their parents. What's he talking about?
I mean, it's this whole idea of persecution, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the subtitle there, even. But and it's just it's the idea that you're going to be different, and people ain't going to like it,
Okay.
right? And the people that aren't going to like it the most are the people that are closest to you,
Yeah.
and what that looks like, right?
Huh.
And the closer they are, the worse the worse the betrayal is, right? Which is
Right.
always the way it is. I mean, you have some friend of yours and whatever he has an affair. Yeah, it hurts you, but if it's your wife that has the affair, it's a whole different animal. Right?
Oh, I see.
So the
Yeah.
closer the offense gets, right, the closer,
Right.
the more it hurts.
And he started out this sending, which was last week's text, or the end of last week's text, with power. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the... You're going to have this great authority over these things. And now he's like, oh yeah, and by the way, this comes with a cost as well.
It comes with a cost.
And don't think it's just going to be all sunshine and rainbows. It's going to get dark for you,
For you.
right?
Yeah.
And because that's what the world is.
Right. You'll be, in verse 22, you'll be hated by all for my name's sake. To be a Christian, to be marked by Christ, to bear his name, be a follower of his, will not bring love and adoration from the masses.
Right. Well, and church futurist people are talking in such a way that Christianity will one day maybe look the same as, for instance, Hasidic Judaism looks in New York City. Wait, you what? You don't have sex with people before they're married? Wait, what? There's only two genders? Yeah, things like, I mean, and
It's an oddity in the
right,
society.
it's an and oddity to such an extent, like people just don't get it.
Get it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be such an outside thing versus
Yeah.
the cultural history we've known. We're at least alongside of culture, maybe not the main, but we were always alongside.
Right.
We're coming to a place in our history sooner or later where we will be so different that it's going to be like,
Yeah, and
those people,
Yeah.
they live like,
Interesting.
you know what I mean, and just it's going to be that. I mean, I think that's the point. It's just so different.
like it's kind of what they would call like a post-Christian sort of America or something like that, where it's like
Right.
that marriage between the world, the secular world, the government, all those things, and the church, which the church has sort of benefited from ever. You could probably go all the way since Constantine
That's what they say. Yeah.
is just so eroded away that we become now an oddity, this strange thing to look upon, right? That's what
Even
you're getting
maybe
at.
the idea of marriage as
Sure.
as an institution.
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Why
I
would-
mean, that ties me down financially
Yeah.
to somebody.
And if we know anything, people persecute that which they don't understand.
right.
Yeah.
And if we are misunderstood within the society, then it's going to inevitably bring those persecutions.
Yeah,
And
that-
whether or not it'll swing back, but it's been a long time that we've been in favor.
Yeah.
of
we
that's
have
true.
been.
It's-
Yeah,
and-
and
We forget that.
Yeah.
we do forget that we expect it to kind of always be this way, and especially like as preachers, right? When we, maybe not always necessarily in a sermon, but certainly in Bible class, those conversations come up where, especially with your older folks, and they tell you these great, wonderful stories of their childhood and this marriage of the community and the
Right.
church that just isn't there. It's not there in any shape or form anymore, or are very rare. And to enable them to begin to see things as that the younger generations aren't growing up in that, not just your time, of course, but that it's this favorable view of the church is just.
But you see it too.
dissipating.
I mean, even with your kids, you're maybe not your personal
Yeah.
children, but because my kids are fairly biblically. I mean,
Yeah.
they have some knowledge of,
Sure.
of the Bible. They're fairly well read. They know the stories. They know Jonah and Daniel and
Yeah.
Balaam's ass and all that other. They know all those stories. Where the kids you're telling those stories to on Sundays, or or the kids that we talk to here at the schools and things like that, they do not have biblical literacy
Right.
at all. These stories are like, wait, okay, so David was who?
Yeah.
It's like, or even Jesus is what?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So
So the encouragement here is that the one who endures to the end will be saved. This
Keep going.
This is the opening part of the book of Revelation, right? As he's speaking to the cities, it's always the one though that those that endure get the crown of righteousness. Those that endure, right? It's that endurance in the time of tribulation and persecution, which is the church is called to do. And a big thing about like us today, I think, again, the call in our churches where churches have been scattered because of coronavirus and all these things, that we endure best or have the highest chance when we're together.
right.
Like this makes this community really unique. If it's not going to be supported by our culture, we need each other if we're going to endure. We're going to press on, right? The nice thing is, you're not going to run out of places to flee to.
Yeah, well, I think that's the
Runaway.
I think that's the benefit of it is that this is the Elijah in 1 Kings 19. There will always be a community for you,
Yeah,
right? So you'll never be alone. And
alone.
think
I like
that's the-
that.
the
That's a good way to
benefit
do
of
it. Yeah.
This is when Elijah's up on the mountain. I've served you zealously, and I'm the only one left. And
Yeah.
God's like, calm down. There's 600 more.
Yeah.
Right, and so that even if you didn't know it,
Right.
it exists. So there's that comfort that you are not going to be the only one who's in this boat.
Yeah.
You will have a community who will be there for you.
Yeah.
Right.
But then even comes back to it. But you're still going to be maligned.
Oh, sure.
right?
Yeah.
Get ready for it.
Yeah,
Stand
and
by.
so he moves from that to saying, hey, you shouldn't expect this to be different than this,
Right.
Because, as he says in verse 24, a disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. Right? If if you're not going to have some easier road than your master or your
Not if
Lord.
you're actually following him.
Right.
Right.
And this goes back to that John 20 upper room. As the Father has sent me, even so I'm sending you. And you go, uh-oh. Like, that was,
Yeah.
I mean, I want to go and all, but the way you went wasn't exactly
Yeah.
gently into the good night, But he said, this is where it's going to go. If they malign the master of the house, if they call him Beelzebul, what are they going to do with you?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so again, maybe a big call of it is like, quit saying how shocked you are. Like, this should all be normal, right? That there's hatred of the church, that they want to disrupt the fellowship and
Call you
scatter the flag.
unessential and,
Yeah,
yeah,
say you're non-essential.
right.
You know, this, you don't have a real role to play
Right.
in this
You're
community.
just like a movie theater,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which is the Supreme Court ruling now, by the way.
Well,
Yeah, great.
There you go. We're in it.
But we shouldn't be shocked. I mean, we
Right.
can be saddened. We can
Right.
in our country, right? We can lobby or vote or these kind of things, but we shouldn't be shocked by it,
Be shocked by it.
Protest.
right? We could protest, right? But we shouldn't be
Yeah.
shocked, right? So then he says what?
Don't be afraid. Actually, he does this twice in this next section. He
Yeah.
says, you know, and it's another one of those great calls from Jesus. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of them. Don't be afraid of any of it. And I just find it fascinating that he does it twice. He just kind of
Yeah.
opens and closes it with that.
Yeah, and again, what a great message for us to hold on to today. This is something that, man, this, as Tim likes to say, this will preach, right? The do not be afraid thing. And he does this beautiful thing. Nothing that's covered won't be revealed. That hidden won't be made known. And he moves right into, because what I've sort of whispered, I think is how, what it was, the Greek, it was like
Spoken into the ear.
Yeah, into your
Yeah.
ear. You're gonna go and proclaim from the rooftops, and it's that, like, don't be afraid if it's small, if it seems weak, if it seems ugly, foolish to this world. This will all be revealed as the great working of
Yeah.
God.
Well, and there's this great. We were reading this. I said this, but and what is hidden, you might say, is you and your life,
Yeah.
right? That what He has spoken to us in secret is who we are as His children, and so
And not
we
just hidden, but locked away, right?
right,
That's
that crypto
cryptology
is
word,
is a hidden away for safekeeping, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that and that we're that safe, we're that which is hidden. And he's saying when we go out and proclaim that boldness, right? This is the disciples in the midst of that persecution, in the midst of the confusion and misunderstanding, they're confident in who they are, and that's who they declare, and that's what they declare. That is what actually preaches, right? Who is this guy that he thinks he gets away with that, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that boldness, that confidence that they don't understand.
That flows from this identity you have of
Yes.
this word that has been spoken into your ear. Which, again, man, as a preacher, you get the joy of in essence having this group of people, and you're still whispering in their ear,
Yeah.
who they are.
Right.
This is who you are. Remember who you are. that kind of
But your only message is here, right? Your only message is the other messages aren't going to mean anything, right? This is, I forget when we were talking about, we were having a conversation about it. You know, I don't know how coronavirus turns out.
Right.
I don't know what the impact is long range. I don't know what the impact is of rioting and the racial stuff going on in our country right now. I don't know, and that's when we made the joke about the murder hornets or whatever it was.
Right,
you
yeah.
know, I don't know about murder hornets, but this is what I do know.
Yeah.
I know this.
Because this
That's
isn't
right.
me.
Yeah.
And this is a message that I can proclaim
Yeah.
no matter what I feel
In the
about
face of
anything
in the
else.
face of all that other
Yeah.
stuff.
I had a line in my sermon this last week that I'm sure it's not new to me, but it came to me of, I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future in his hands.
Yeah, it's good.
Right?
Yeah.
And I mean,
kinda
that's
cliche,
kind of
man.
the thing. It is.
Yeah.
But it
Hey,
preaches.
cliches
Bumper
work
sticker.
sometimes.
Preaches. It's good rhetorically.
That's right. That's right.
It's good.
I'm patting myself on the back for that.
So he says, and so as you said before, and don't be afraid of those who could kill the body but can't kill the soul.
There's actually 3 do not be
Yeah.
afraid in it.
And you know that maybe you should be afraid of the one who can take both the body and the soul and throw it into the horrors of Gehenna.
This is again,
Right?
why aren't you afraid? Because you know the end of the story.
Yeah.
He's already won.
And
the end of the story's
this was
already
something
done.
we've talked about extensively from the beginning of this virus on, and now in the face of everything else that's going on, is man, we know the end of the story. The promise is there for you. and that it's okay to preach that.
And
right?
our world is afraid of what can kill the body.
Yeah,
We're not,
we're not.
because it's not about that. We fear the one who has control over both body and soul,
Right.
and over this world.
Right.
And he is the one, ironically, as we're supposed to fear him, who says, "Do not fear."
Do not fear.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So then it moves right from that to sparrows. We had a lengthy discussion. We're translating this. That came up. Basically,
Sorry about
sparrows
that.
are everywhere, and they're cheap, and nobody thinks anything of them. They're not really useful. I mean, they're not like they're not a big part of human commerce or economy, right?
Nobody thinks
They're
of
just
them as
there,
having any
right.
value.
And he says, look, one of those can fall to the ground, and that doesn't happen outside of the Father's knowing. And guess what? He knows how many hairs are on your head. And
Do you?
Do not be afraid.
You know how many hairs are on your head? I haven't counted mine lately.
lately, right?
So
No.
So then
every day.
he goes to the final in this section anyway. The final, fear not, right? Don't be afraid then, because you are of more value than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows you. He's called you. You're his own. And so the final section of this kind of don't be afraid because God's got you. Is he then says so speak his word, speak his stuff, right? Confess him. Say the word of God. Say back to him. And you think so much of the church life is wrapped up in this that sometimes we kind of forget it. Like the wonder and the power of the Lord's Prayer is always one. When you talk to your congregation about it, it's man, all you're doing is saying to God the words He said. Say these words to me, right? I mean, you're saying God. You're saying, okay, I'm going to confess you your stuff. I'm going to tell you exactly what you said you wanted me to say to you.
our benediction is the same way.
Yeah,
right?
and there's such assurance and confidence in that, knowing that He hears it, because He told you, say that to me. Okay, I mean, it's really simple at that point. But He says, if you speak the word of God before men, or you speak of my words before men, then Jesus says, then I'm speaking of you before the Father in heaven, right? And if you deny all that, you reject it, then you will be rejected or denied before your Father in heaven, right? And so maybe kind of going to this, that the task is again simple as opposed to complex. Yeah. This doesn't make it easy though, and so I think that's this whole thing. It's going to be difficult. There's opposition, intimate opposition, and hatred that'll come at you, and all these things. But it doesn't change what you're sent to do, or what it means to be a disciple. Not even sent to do, but like this is who you'll be, right?
And let this form people. I mean, you guys will know I'm taking that class right now on narrative preaching.
Yeah.
So preaching story.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And the beauty of these stories is we kind of, I mean, we come at them, even in this we come at them, we kind of know what they mean, right?
Yeah.
But you put out a story into somebody's life, and if it's these stories we actually believe do stuff to people.
Yeah.
And you don't control it as much as you want to.
You know
right?
that
But
this
you don't get to control what this story does to
Yeah.
somebody when you say the Lord knows you more than sparrows.
Yeah.
Right? How does that affect somebody? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they raise sparrows. I who knows?
And the
But-
only reason we're saying that is because Jesus said it.
Yeah,
He told us
and
to say
you're
it.
talking about that same speak
Yeah.
more and more. I think as this becomes the norm, the church's role and maybe even preacher's role is to more and more and more just tell these stories.
Tell the stories. Yeah.
And let them do
Yeah.
what they do. Let God do what He does.
Right.
And maybe a little less of us and our creativity and a little more. I mean,
Right,
right?
sure.
But this is not easy.
Right.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing this class, and I mean, how many years have I been preaching now? A decade, regularly, every Sunday, and I'm struggling writing these things.
Yeah.
Trying to, so the task is not easy per se.
Yeah.
But it's formative stuff,
Right,
and it's
yeah.
the stuff that keeps us safe.
Yeah, good. that's actually a good reminder as we wrap up. Part of what we do when we meet and do this work, and part of what Craft of Preaching is all about, is that we always want to challenge to be better at this craft. That it is a craft, something we can get better at, that we study, we learn, the art and science of it mingles together, and so always be checking it out. And shameless plug, check out craftofpreaching.com. There's resources there. But the goal is, be in conversation, challenge yourself to try to preach it maybe different ways, or those things. Good opportunity here. I think the narrative call is a brilliant one here. It fits really well with the text, and certainly with what's going on in our lives. So we like, subscribe, share us with your friends and neighbors and children and grandma, and God bless you preaching.